8:30. By 10:15, I'm at the Duke, and it already crashed and had to be shot back 3 times, somewhere between.
We're live.
Oh, gosh.
So.
Yep,
They
we
had
are
had
live.
stenting, and all I got when I got there was 1 stent, and then had to go back a month later and get another stent. So if they'd had that capability in Murray, I would have never had.
You wouldn't have. Oh, God bless you, dude.
So
Okay.
now you know, there's a wonderful story waiting for Brother Jim.
It's now 5:42,
I'm
June
sorry.
28th. I'd like to call to order the Calvert City Board of Zoning Adjustments. First thing on the agenda will be the approval of the minutes from our last meeting.
I'll make a motion. We approve the minutes. I've read over them. See if you're accurate.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, move on to old business. First up is update on MegaFit meals. Would you like to come
Yes,
forward?
thank you. Number one, I'd like to apologize for my unavailability last month. I know, and I had spoken with John very briefly, and I had hoped at this point in time to have the site plan requested by the committee this time last month. But as we had discussed before the meeting, I've had some bumps in the road for me personally. And unfortunately, Mr. Bobby Dietz with Bacon Farmer Workman is out of town and is on a cruise this weekend, much akin to Darren. So, I mean, apparently it's in season. I'm sorry I missed that season, to be quite honest with you. And so I do not have the site plan as requested at this point. Furthermore, we have been trying to get something from Josh Vernon of, I can't remember the name of his organization, but nonetheless, he's an architect in Murray, Kentucky, and he has done historical work on the MegaFit properties. He has been covered up, to say the least, I would expect, primarily with the new Pastoral Truck Lines facility that's being built in Murray, which is going to be rather expansive. And we've not been able to get the schematic on what we are intending to do on the north side of the building. Not the north, the new front of the building that faces the convenience store over there. I expect that we will have the site plan, because I think things have changed a little bit. I was expecting a slab on grade loading dock. Now we have what I would call is a much more formal and permanent type loading dock that certainly, in my opinion, from a practical matter, will be more conducive long-term rather than a slab where you're just going to load stuff out of the back, which I didn't think was a good long-term solution on a personal and human level. But, that's not my job to be an engineer. But I think we have a much more functional loading dock that will be conducive to, that will help eliminate the problems that we've had, i.e. the food trucks coming in very early and loading and unloading in places where they should not do so. I mean, if you see a big loading dock and you choose to unload or unload out in the middle of the parking lot, number one, that calls into question the issues of competency on the part of the truck driver. And so what we are intending to do is, number one, give you the actual schematic documents that you're seeking by the July meeting, and conjunction with a conditional use permit application. One of the issues that I have had in coming up with a conditional use permit application is how to label it. Number one, this is, and what we've been talking about for the last 9, 12 months, 11 months, however long it's been, is what exactly does MegaFit do, and how do we come up with a description of it? The only description that I've been able to come up with is light manufacturing, food preparation, and very limited retail sales. And I think that's what I would want to put on the permit, because number one, a conditional use permit is always something that is a square peg in a round hole. But with those 3 delineations, I think it turns more for, having been the person sitting in Greg's chair for the city of Murray many years ago, having something that can be confined as a conditional use permit rather than open the door to other light manufacturing, food prep, limited retail sales. You go in and call it manufacturing, light manufacturing, then you can potentially open the door to a floodgate for folks coming in. Nonetheless, on employees, they are at 85 total employees right now, no more than 40 persons a shift. At the most, if they were to continue where they're going, the most that that building at its capacity now could handle is 120 total employees, at the most 45 a shift, which will, based upon the parking schematics and the aerial views, which I would consider under the prior thoughts of what we were going to do here as a form of a site plan, when all you're going to do is stripe a parking lot. I don't know that a formal site plan would be required or necessary. I think that's within the parking requirements that we have. At this point in time, we would like the opportunity to keep 2 outdoor portable coolers on the just in case standpoint over there at a location similar to where they are. One of the things that has been absolutely critical from the beginning, at least from my standpoint, your standpoint, and the company's standpoint, and when they found out that these types of events have been happening at hours where they weren't there, they have been probably more displeased than this board has, is creating an area to where the fire department will not be adversely affected. And that can be done by a variety of ways. Number one, it can be done by bollards. I've seen and investigated some other types, some knockdown bollards that are, basically you turn a switch and it will be able to fall down, because I know occasionally the fire department has used that when they could drive through. They've used that parking lot to be able to get out and get more access to the highway. And certainly we'd like to retain that right of use if possible to the extent we can. As far as the aesthetics, what if we cannot have a formal proposal? And again, because it's been 5 months since our original contact with the architect, we may have to go in another direction, and I've got another individual identified that may be able to assist us on this if should my client want to. They don't want to change horses in midstream. What my recommendation and proposal and request with my hat, well, my hat's not in my hand, it's on the floor over there, is that we be permitted to provide you with a site plan and a conditional use permit for this body's review at the July meeting. And then whatever public hearings would need to be had going forward on that is would be at your discretion. The goal here for me all along is, and I've seen it on the other side, and maybe I have made a mistake in doing this and advising my client this direction. And as I have seen in Murray, when people would put a square peg, try to put a square peg in a round hole, they would put forth an application. It didn't work, it'd be denied. They would put forth another application. It would be put forth and be denied. I'm a lawyer and I'm a litigator by heart, but not by heart, but by heart, I'm a problem solver. And rather than come in here and throw permit after permit after permit at you to try to find out what would work, it has been my approach and goal, and maybe it's been the wrong way to do it, and I will certainly learn the lesson, is to let's come together with something that's going to work. We'll put it in front of you, and then we can let the public decide what it wants to. That's just my approach. And if that's the wrong approach, then don't punish my client for me trying to do what I've been doing for 25 years on the basis of my experience. And to the extent that I can answer any questions, I would be welcome the opportunity to do so at this point in time.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Let me go ahead and answer the obvious question. Is this ever going to get done? And the answer to the question is yes, it's going to get done one way or another.
But I know at our last meeting, we were talking the July meeting would be the one where we'd hope to have all the information.
And I will fall upon my sword in that point in time, because I spoke with John very soon after that meeting And again, that was running into the Memorial Day weekend, and I don't think I spoke with you that week. I think I spoke with you, maybe the first call I made after I got out of the hospital about what this board was wanting. And at that point in time, I reached out to the people that I needed to reach out to and said, listen, this is what they're wanting. Unfortunately, I have not received that from the third parties. And that I'm not going to throw them under the bus. I'm going to throw myself under the bus on that because I may not have been as diligent as I needed to be on that. But nonetheless, after I've answered the question that was on everybody's mind.
I don't have questions. I guess
Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right, next would be new business. John, you know of any?
All
new-
right, do we have discussion, like board discussion on this?
Oh,
So
yeah,
ulti-
yeah,
so
yeah.
ultimately, guys, my thought was, and thank you, Chip, I appreciate that. We did lay out at the last meeting that we would have liked to have the site plan tonight so we could review it. If we're gonna do the conditional use in next month, we would have time to review it. I think that we really need that site plan before we see the, before we're have to study it along with the conditional use. My question would be, while this may be difficult for Mr. Adams.
Mr. Kearns, can I
yes.
go ahead and
Yeah.
interrupt just
Yeah.
to provide some qualification?
Yes,
I will be quite honest with you. I fully expect to see a slab on grade today when I drove by the property. Instead, it is not a slab on grade. It is a more formal loading dock, which I think I was unaware that was going on. I think it is. I didn't think the slab on grade idea was a good long-term solution either for my client or for the city, no matter what happens. But I think ultimately what has been done indicates to me that there probably is a site plan out there. And if there's, because Mr. Dietz, maybe somebody else in his office may have prepared one. But again, I'm getting he's burning up all of his international minutes while he's on a cruise right now.
Yeah.
Texting me, so.
yeah, and you don't want to bother him, to that end, I don't know, compared to what Billy was planning, we'll take for the new employment numbers, just to make sure that the parking spaces he allotted was enough, but just an overall site plan. So where I was going, if you all may not be opposed to it, while it may be difficult for Mr. Adams or their client or his clients, would it be possible maybe that we had a special call meeting, for example, the Tuesday before the third Tuesday of next month, you all give us the site plan so we can at least have it for a week?
I'm gonna go ahead and jump on people starting as early as tomorrow morning and saying, thou, and speaking in the old King James, in the Old Testament, thou shalt have me a site plan within 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay.
That's gonna be
I
my
would be fine with
request, and I
that.
hope that someone can abide by that. request.
If he'll send it to me by PDF, I can actually send it out where you don't have to unless you just want to have a special call.
Well, I guess my question there, and this is more of a procedural question, Greg. So if we had questions about the site plan for either Josh, the architect, or Billy, the engineer, or Chip or client, then would we need to do that, with public notice in the public, or could we do that at a quote unquote site plan review special call meeting?
Okay, tell me if I'm understanding. you.
Yeah.
What you're thinking is mixing in my understanding
Yeah,
of yours.
yeah.
Because the words site plan, development plan,
Yeah,
all that kind of stuff gets kind of mushy.
Yeah.
If I'm understanding, what you're thinking is, I want to see kind of a drawing of that will tell me, what are you gonna do with the bollards, where they're gonna be, are they gonna be bending over, they're not gonna be bending over, where are you gonna?
With
is
drawn
there
out parking places,
is there
yeah,
Parking
with-
spots. Are there
yes, just
sufficient
and
number of
overall,
them
yes, a
To
plan, yes,
accommodate what it is you're proposing,
yes,
that kind of thing.
setbacks, if there's gonna be architectural features out 2 foot because of a platform or whatever.
Well, and those,
Greg, may I?
those are the things I don't think he's got.
Yeah,
Yeah, and Greg, may I, and Mr. Kearns, may I also indicate, I'm a little concerned that on any schedule, based upon my optimism that we would have some aesthetics I have been fully expecting aesthetics in my hand before each meeting. And so the permit that I will present next month, to the extent that it does not have aesthetics involved with it, will have a caveat that basically says any aesthetic improvements to what is now the facing on Oak Hill Terrace or Oak Terrace, what road is it?
Oak Park
Oak Plaza.
Oak Plaza. I never can remember.
Oak Park Boulevard, I'm sorry.
Oak Park Boulevard,
Yeah.
because I keep thinking Oak Park Terrace, which is outside Chicago. Oak Park Boulevard, if and to the extent we don't have those for you next time, that any aesthetics facing Oak Park Boulevard will be subject to the subsequent approval of this body. So if we don't have it, rather than roll it all up into one thing, I mean, please, I want it to be, I mean, I like coming to hang out with you all, but my wife does not, because she's kind of enjoys my company sometimes. But I would like to have, if we can't have all that packaged up, that it be subject to approval upon submission before any work commences. That's just my thought.
Well, if, what, I assume what you're thinking when we look at the application, there'll be a public hearing.
Yeah.
Is that what you're
Yes,
thinking?
yes.
And
And so
so-
if we had, if we had questions about it, do we need to wait to that public hearing before we could question an engineer? Or,
No,
or could we do it during that special call?
yeah, I think your thinking is good in that helping an applicant to not make fatal mistakes in his final application by reviewing a site plan ahead of time so that you can say,
Yes,
that's not, I won't approve that. or
Yes,
I don't like that.
yes.
If you want me to vote for you, you'll need to do this a little differently. I
yes,
think that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
And if you want to do that, you know, I could set it out a couple of weeks and then let Dietz or whoever come up with a drawing showing the parking spaces, the setbacks, the basic structural. I know they're not building a new building.
Yeah.
It's the same building. It's always been there. But the presentation of it and what's going to be allocated to, you know, like the two little freezer boxes
yeah,
that I hate.
yeah.
And how, and where it's going to be buffered or not buffered or whatever. Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea at all, Willie, before setting it for a public hearing, so that, again, like Chip was saying, they've got a better chance at presenting something that is acceptable.
Yeah, no,
Because he has
If
I,
I may
a
say,
bar
yeah,
review.
and to the extent you have questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to communicate those to John or Greg and get those to us, because, you know, I would hate to
But
go.
what he's saying is he wants to see more detail than they had on that aerial.
Aerial,
view with
yeah.
little
Okay.
marks on it.
yes, yes. Very much
You
Some
want
more
to-
detail so that he can tell you whether he has any questions.
Yeah,
Perfect. It'd be just like if we submitted a proposal where we said we were gonna have 60 people on site occasionally during Christmas, and then one of y'all would say, no, that's unacceptable. Good, I'd like to know that, then that
Yes.
won't be there. Just, you know, things like that, you know, if you have a nuclear issue, you know, if I put something in there and I've not seen anybody's head spin around, that I know that I'm at least in the ballpark, but if I throw something else in there at the request of my client or at my own request for self-preservation, you know, I'd like to know that it's totally unsatisfactory by at least one or two of y'all, or at least one of you, because I
Well, what you
think,
can do, if you're gonna try to turn the heat up and get somebody to get some kind of a dimensional draw, basically it's those same aerials except it's dimensional.
yes,
And it shows that it actually will accommodate everything that needs to be accommodated. If you can turn up enough heat to get that to them within a couple of weeks,
are you
then maybe-
suggesting that I wave my magic wand?
I'm thinking about that.
well,
Yeah.
and
I can do that, I have one.
And even more,
I'm a
and
big
even the bigger magic wand is, I mean, you do what you want, but I don't think I don't want you to give us a conditional use application without Josh's perspective, without the, you know, what it's gonna look like from the road. Us for whatever reason, do approve it, come back, get that a month later and say, no, this isn't working at all, and we got to have it all
Yeah, that
together.
won't work. What, if he
Yeah.
presents a partial,
He-
what I'm.
Okay,
gleaning
so you're
from you, what
telling
I'm
me we
getting
need
from
the
him
full Monty, not the
Yes,
partial.
yes.
Okay,
In a couple.
Yes.
Well,
Well,
except. If,
I know where you're
if
going.
he will get his numbers together, get you some sort of a dimensional drawing
Yeah,
in a couple of weeks.
yeah,
Then possibly a week after that, we may have a come together and let's talk about that. If, we might not.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
You guys
yeah.
can call a special meeting
love it,
if you want
love
to,
it.
but if it's not needed, we won't.
love it.
And then for the next meeting, he could present an incomplete application, but not present it for approval.
That's
present it
correct.
For review.
Okay,
And so if he doesn't have his elevations and his aesthetic
Plan,
finish,
yeah.
you guys can still look at the application. It hasn't been submitted formally, but it's submitted in part.
or if
And
it's,
you guys can then. look
or
at
even
and
if
say-
it has been submitted formally, you could table it pending the aesthetics.
Yeah, but without
Yes.
the aesthetics, that would be an incomplete application.
Okay.
It would be a
Yes.
partial.
yes.
it would be a
You
partial
know,
submission.
and I'm good with that. I'm good with that. And all that I go back to is what we did kind of come to the conclusion last time, guys, that we want it by the end of July.
Yeah.
I mean, it's drawn,
We
out.
just-
We want it by the end of July. If you could get us the full money, that would be awesome. If you can't,
The
then
movie, I
Yes,
don't
we'll
think,
do it.
do I need to go get that movie at the video? store?
No, not that one.
Not that one, but no.
But I think that seems like something that might work.
Yeah.
If you can try to get them a dimensional drawing in a couple of weeks, let them then look at it and decide if they think we need to have a meeting because something's not working. We need to talk about this before we get a more complete submittal. Then we will. If not, then we'll just wait. And at the next meeting, we will not set it for a public hearing, but we will expect everything that you've got.
Got it.
And go into it tomorrow with Josh, like with the architect. I mean, we've got a month, and if
It's
a week
time.
from now they can't, then a week from now
Yeah.
be engaging
We-
your client and your other
We're,
people.
we've been waiting and it's time to move on. It happens.
Yes. No, I get it.
I've been victim to that.
I trust me. Yes, I
But
have
if, but
to.
if he comes in with a near complete or whatever he comes in with as far as whatever part of your application you can get together by the end of July, then you guys can make a determination at that time. Does this show a good faith effort? Does it not show a good faith effort? Does it, what he's shown, tell us, yeah, this looks like it's something that's on the right trail and might be getting us almost there. Finish your aesthetics and let's go. Or whatever, you can communicate. It gives you at least a couple of bites at the apple to
Yep.
communicate. And then set it for a public hearing as quick as you can and get your aesthetics in here and let's rock and roll.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Thank you.
All right, let me ask you something.
Yes,
sir.
I hadn't even thought about that, if we put the barricades or whatever it is up. Is there ample room without, say, put them up and then the fire truck wants to come out? Do they have to
Yes.
go over that line?
No,
or-
they would not.
No,
No, unless y'all get a 3-axle ladder truck, you're golden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't,
Well, I don't want to put.
Yeah, the
something
fire
that's gonna
engines have-
Keep the fire truck from getting out.
yeah, no, they're totally, they're in complete, yeah, I don't see an issue unless y'all got a good New York City, with a cab over and a trailer, then that would be the.
Well, that's part of
You
it,
can
why
see
we
one
have
of
these
those for
public
sale
hearings,
next to-
because we should be sure and let the fire department know so they can be here to look at these with us. Because they're an adjoining property owner, city's an adjoining property owner. The fire department has a vested interest in it.
And they have-
need to be here to.
They understand some of the practical realities that we may not.
Are you?
In our,
Not anymore.
the bays, there are 2 bays in that station. They're not big enough to hold a.
yeah, big
Oh,
truck,
and
yeah.
believe me, if it would, I'd be out there salivating on a fire truck guy and a train guy. That's kind of, I need to move to Calvin City.
What do we got, what we got you do? Number 9 out there?
I'm not sure what they've got out there now.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
I know they're not big trucks because it's not that deep.
Okay. for purposes of clarity, because I'm gonna read these minutes next month, and that's what's gonna tell me what it is we're supposed to do. So what we're gonna do, somebody correct me if I'm wrong. You put this in the minutes and correct me if I'm wrong. Within a couple of weeks, Chip is gonna submit to you guys a dimensional drawing showing parking spaces, bollards, anticipated buffering around
As much detail as
as much
possible.
detail as possible, just on a basic site plan. You guys are gonna review that ASAP and have the option of requesting a special call meeting to discuss that if you have any serious concerns. We either will or will not have a special call meeting 3 weeks from now. Then approximately 4 weeks from now, we will have the July meeting of the board. And at that meeting, Chip is going to bring in, hopefully, a complete application, whole shooting match. If he does, we will not at that point have had time to advertise a public hearing.
No.
Because we won't know whether he's gonna have, we won't know whether he's gonna have the full amount, the full application in time to publicize that public hearing. So we will plan on having an informal hearing on the application, potentially a partial application or a full application. We will have a review of that at the July meeting. Immediately following the July meeting, our plan will be to set it for a public hearing, to have a public hearing on the application. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The only thing I might add in there, because so we don't let it wait 2 weeks, is have the final meeting, even if it's a special call meeting. You know, if we have it by the 3rd of the month, I don't want to wait till the 24th of August.
Well, you have to advertise 2 weeks and then it depends.
Yeah.
Because here's a situation with, if we're meeting on a Tuesday night, which we will be for our regular meeting, I can't get it in the paper till the following week. So it'd be 2 weeks from that,
We can do that. by
but it's gonna be,
special call.
but it'd be two,
Okay.
not for the, yeah,
For
but
the
it would be
following.
2 weeks from that following Thursday. So I just want to let you know, that's our delay on that one.
Yeah, after following the July regular meeting.
Yeah.
Of course, we'll learn from Chip at that point exactly where they are. If he's not finished
Well, it'll
with
be
his
almost-
application, we'll learn exactly where he is.
Yeah.
And hopefully, as soon as possible, following that meeting, we will set a special call meeting that will be a public hearing.
Yeah.
It would be, it'd be 3 weeks from that Thursday
Yeah.
of that week, okay?
Yep.
Okay, just,
Which looks like it would be around the 19th or so of August,
yeah, somewhere in the middle of August.
18th.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, that would be the earliest I could get it in the newspaper would be the following week. Because I've already missed the deadline. The deadline now is Tuesdays instead of Wednesdays.
When we get finished with that, with talking about this, I have a question. Can I ask you that? Did I send you that variance from last month? I did.
I think
Okay, double check and make sure. If I didn't do it within the last 24 hours, I'm not going to remember it too well.
I'm pretty sure you did.
But, okay. All right. very good.
Anything else from me, or are we good?
I think you can go home and.
Well, I got my daughter called me 30 minutes ago, so I better.
You'll
answer
take care of
her.
business.
Yeah.
All right.
Take it easy.
See you,
All
Jim.
right.
I'm glad you're feeling better, dude.
Yeah.
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 And you know, it's funny, after you've survived a heart attack, going in and get a cath and a stent is no big deal. And so today I've said, I was talking with the CEO of the hospital, how you doing? I go, it was really no big deal. He goes, everything cardiac's a big deal. I said, okay. And then my wife, using her eyes, told me the exact same thing.
Yeah.
So thank y'all. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay.
See ya.
Thank you.
Hey, I want to, John, next time we visit, I want to hear about your port that you're thinking of. I've been reading about the paper. Aren't y'all doing something down at the river? City?
Oh, that's the loading dock. Oh, not loading dock, but the boat dock.
Oh, the boat dock.
Yeah, down there is a park area thing. Yeah.
I've
Okay.
been hearing about that and the airport development.
All right.
Just because I'm interested
We'd love to have you. We'd love to have you.
Will it be a manned boat dock or just like?
No, it's just be an open boat dock, yeah.
It's be a
I mean,
ramp. It's just.
it's a ramp, but we need to do
There's a little
some,
park
some,
beside it.
we've got to do some, emergency, we got to do some, stabilization. The bank is eroding up to the point where it's almost underneath the pavilion, yeah. So
Well, the rock hunters is not gonna like that, are they?
I'm sorry.
They need to hurry up and get down there.
Wow. They haven't been out there
Don't
in a
tell them
while.
that because they may undermine, they'll tunnel underneath there and get, didn't real set it down.
Wow. Didn't realize it was eroding that bad. That's a pretty good distance.
I mean, there's barely
Yeah.
a path between the edge, the drop off and the pavilion itself.
Wow.
And I don't know that I would want to walk on it too much.
Yeah, it was last year, was probably the last time I was over there.
Yeah.
You gonna leave the same building that's there?
The pavilion's in good shape. Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
problem with the
I
pavilion.
didn't know if it was undercutting it yet. or-
Not yet, but it's getting close. And that's
Yeah.
what, that's what we gotta do. We gotta do some emergency stabilization of the bank with some heavy 24s, with bigger rock and build that up. There's a toe in that we can actually work with. Below that will help us stabilize it and build it up from there. So
Now, is that kayak thing, is that gonna go into this? Is that, I know that. I've
you
heard
can
the
launch
rumor-
from there. Yes.
Okay, but I heard
I
the
mean-
rumor that we might be the key place for this.
Well, we are tied to the Tennessee River line.
Yeah.
And are one of the cities in it. Matter of fact, the end city is Paducah. Knoxville is the start point of the Tennessee, and the Tennessee ends there at Paducah. And so, yeah, we're right at the end of it, but yes, we are part of it, and we're part of the link. So and there's some other communities that haven't joined that link yet, but they will. 652 miles of river. Going through three or four states.
That's a long
It
road.
goes into Georgia for a little bit, and I think Alabama. So I think it's 4 states as well as Tennessee and Kentucky. I think there's 4 states, and I think it was 652 miles of river.
I guess the thing that every little Western Kentucky town is saying right now is at least we're not Marion.
At least we're not what?
Marion,
Okay.
they have no water.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's bad.
I knew when I
It's
heard the
bad.
governor declared it state of emergency.
It's bad,
for
bad.
Marion.
Do you know what-
Yeah.
Huh?
Is it river water? Or do they
No.
use river water?
No, they
Reservoir.
had a levee problem and had to blow a levee like back in January, and then they use a lake and it hadn't rained this summer and the lake's like dry.
Yeah, State of governor declared emergency.
Yeah, they've got I saw water trucks. I was in Eddyville
There
this
one of them
morning and water
turned
trucks
over.
just lined up driving up there.
I'm surprised they haven't got any wells they tapped.
Yeah. well,
I don't know.
Where they tapped into Fredonia, they're sucking off their well, right?
Well, yeah, they've got links. I mean, we've got.
They said they had a 4-inch,
Marshall and-
I think they said they had a 4-inch pipe to Fredonia.
They said it, Fredonia's gonna be lucky to keep.
Excuse me.
Yeah, well, I know. I mean, and I
we
think,
couldn't do it.
well, like I said, the city, I think they had a decent water supply, but I think they had a levee breach in
Yeah.
the winter
So
and
they had
they had to kill it. So,
Yeah.
or drain it.
You imagine the contractors out there working on that and it cuts loose.
I'm gonna take you, I think you got a head cold.
I guess out west, they're still having trouble, aren't they? So they're still dry.
Different areas,
Like
yeah.
Meade
Yeah.
and that area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It did rain pretty good though, the past couple days, so
I
don't know, probably not enough to-
Yeah.
not enough to make a difference for a city.
Yeah.
not enough to make a difference for a city.
Not hardly go in the grass.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's there. Like I said, I got a lot of family over there and that's rough.
Any other business to discuss? Marion? I hear a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
All right,
Bye.
we are adjourned. Wait, this is my chance. Adjourn.
Home, my new grandson.
There you
He's
go.
in my house. came to see his granddaddy.
There you go. You better
What
go
they call you,
see.
Greg, is all-
They have